If you're in the tattoo industry, then at some point you've probably thought about doing a tattoo convention, but I have no idea where to start. Back when I first started, I really wanted to do tattoo conventions, but I always thought that doing a tattoo convention for the first time, it can be quite daunting. Well, today I'm going to tell you everything you need and even some things that may just help you get more attention while you're there. So let's get into it. So to start off, we're going to go over everything I think you really need, because I feel like it's important to get everything ready and everything prepared before going and booking that slot. Now, we all know how quick those important dates can creep up on us, and we don't really want to be unprepared and have to go and do stock orders and get everything ready at the last minute. So first things first, you want to go and get yourself a good, reliable travel case. Preferably you want to go for something that can take a bit of a knock during travel. The last thing you want is to buy everything, pack all your machines, get to the convention only to find out something's been damaged and having to buy it all again while you're there. Now personally, I use one of these, and I know a lot of other artists prefer these kind of things too, because within these cases there is compartments where you can separate everything. This means that your equipment's going to get there safe, your machines aren't going to bang into each other, and most importantly, it's probably going to save you a lot of money. Now the next thing that you're going to need is a good lightweight tattoo bed or chair, because what you don't want to be doing is trying to transport one of those big bulky tatsole style beds when you're only going to be there for 2 or 3 days. Now it is worth mentioning that some of these tattoo conventions do have beds that you can rent out, but you do have to remember that some of these beds haven't been used since the last convention and have been in storage for around about a year. That means that some of these beds can be a bit questionable to use. Now you want to pack away your inks. Now this is where the travel case comes in handy. Now my advice is to pack these away with tissue or a towel, and just make sure that they're nice and snug and that they're not going to rattle around during travel. Because at pretty much every tattoo convention there is always a handful of artists who haven't. They've turned up to the convention only to find that their inks have exploded inside the case. Then we move on to packing your needles. Now with needles you want to take enough of what you're expecting to use. Every artist has certain needles that they'll use more than others. And what you want to do is pack enough of those to last you the weekend. There's always somewhere at the venue where you can buy supplies if you need to. Just remember that you're in a room full of 300 plus artists, and not everyone is going to remember everything. These suppliers do get really busy at tattoo conventions, so try not to overpack. You can always buy more. Now, this is where a good checklist comes in handy. Like I said, you don't want to overpack, but at the same time, you don't want to forget the important things either. Now, when I'm packing to go on the road, what I usually do is I usually go through my usual routine of setting up, tattooing and breaking down. This just helps me remember everything that I usually use during the process of a tattoo. So you want to take cling film or cellophane wrap for your tattoo station and bed. You also want to take a good sized tissue roll, because at a convention you are going to use that real fast. You want to take things like gloves, processed butter or Vaseline. You want to take ink caps. You want to take machine bags, bottle bags. And for those of us who haven't caught up with the cool kids yet, you want to take clip cord sleeves. You want to take a small amount of razors and stencil primer. Now I know I haven't mentioned it yet, because I think it goes without saying, but your tattoo machines, cords, foot pedal and power supply. Now something to note is that some tattoo conventions do help you out by leaving you a convention pack. This is usually a goodie bag filled with some of the things that you may find useful. In these convention packs there's usually things like aprons, lap cloths, there's usually a small amount of processed butter in there, some gloves and maybe some alcohol wipes. I don't usually use everything that's in them, but if you do, it's just something that could help you out. When it comes to packing, you may also want to throw in some skin markers, because you never know when some freehand work is going to come in handy. I also think it's worth mentioning that if you do a lot of work that requires rinse cups, then you might want to take some disposable cups. And something that I found extremely useful was a solidifying powder. Another thing to take into consideration is the aftercare side. Now, I know some people don't use this, but I would highly recommend that you pick up some protective film for after you're done tattooing. Remember that you're not going to be tattooing in a studio environment. You want to give your hard work and your client the best chance you possibly can. So because of this, I would strongly recommend looking into a company called BUTTERLUXE. Personally, I use their derma protective film. They do have a big range of products and they're all really easy to use. If you're interested in this kind of thing, I will leave a link in the description to their website. Now another thing that I would strongly recommend taking is your own thermal transfer paper. And if you do have one at the shop, a small travel thermal printer. They do usually have these at the venues, but again, you are in a room full of 300 plus artists who are all wanting to use it at the same time. And these things aren't really made to be used so much in so little time. And as they are thermal printers, they do usually heat up, and this puts them out of commission for a while. So my advice is, if you can, take your own. The next thing that I found that I couldn't do it without is a light rig. And I think that at a convention, this is one of the most important things you could possibly take. As again, you need to remember that you're not tattooing in a studio environment. And of course, this means that the light conditions aren't always the best. So to help, take a light rig or a headlamp. Believe me on that one, you'll thank me later. I would also say you need to take your designs for your pre-booked clients. And I say this for the same reason as the thermal printer. But if you haven't got any pre-booked clients, then I would definitely say to take some flash designs so you can put them on your table and people can see what you're about. You also want to take something that shows off your work. Whether this is a binder or a screen that shows off your work on a loop, you need to be able to show people what you can do. And the last thing that I would say is a strong must, and possibly one of the most important things that you could take to a tattoo convention, is business cards. Because a lot of people are going to be walking past you, and a lot of people aren't going to have the time or the money to be able to get tattooed by you there and then. But if they do like your work, then you don't want that potential client or business opportunity to lose contact with you. Your business cards should always make an impression. Remember, you're going to be in a room full of some of the most creative people in the country, so you need to be able to stand out. Now, up next is a list of things that I think are optional, but I still think that they're quite important because they're going to make your time at the convention a lot more comfortable. Now, when I do a convention, I always make sure that I have a banner that's going to catch the eye and it's going to tell people who I am and what I'm about. You want your banner to catch the attention of everyone that walks past, and also say a little bit about the kind of work that you do. Make sure this banner reflects you and your style of tattooing. For example, you don't want to specialise in dark realism like me and go with a banner that has a neo-traditional pink and purple unicorn on it. Next thing that's probably going to help a little bit is a tablecloth. Conventions usually provide you with a table that serves two purposes. It provides you with a barrier between the public and your tattooing area, and it also gives you a place to display things that you think people need to see. But most of the time, these tables are just foldable tables that aren't really catching or appealing to the eye, so a tablecloth will help you. The next thing to consider is sugary treats for your clients and passers-by, because you never know when somebody's going to need a sugar boost. And finally on this list, something that I haven't done but I have seen other artists do, is take your own station. Now, I wouldn't say this is for everyone, but I would say that if you've chosen to drive to the convention and you have the opportunity, then this is always a possibility. Now's the part of the video where I just want to talk about how to find what conventions are happening in your area and also how to book yourself a station. The cost and days of a convention can vary, so keep that in mind. Now, I've seen a station at conventions cost anywhere from £300 to £450, and they usually last between 2 and 3 days. If it's 3 days, then it usually starts on a Friday, which are known as artist days. They then usually open the doors to the public on Saturday and Sunday. Now, the best ways to find out what conventions are happening near you is just do a quick Google search, or you can go to this website, type in where you're from into the search bar, and this will give you a list of all the conventions that are booked for that year. This site provides all the information that you need to know, including a list of links that can help put you in contact with the convention. Now, my advice when looking for conventions to do is start small. Get yourself used to the environment and then work up. Use that weekend to get yourself known by other artists, gain new friends and get new clients. All conventions have competitions that go on over the 2 or 3 days, so if you think you're good enough, why not compete? But the most important part is to just have fun at these conventions. If you're thinking about doing a convention and you've made that leap, I hope you have an amazing time. And if you have booked a convention, then please leave a comment down below letting us know which convention you booked, and also tell us what you've done to prepare for it. Now, for those of you who have been wondering where I've been for the past few months, there is a good reason. Hi! Now, with moving house and having a baby, it's been quite hard for me to make regular uploads. But with having this new office set up and having a bit more time, hopefully I can get things back to normal. All the messages of support and all the comments wanting me to upload more videos are much appreciated. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I know. And I will catch you in the next one. Thanks, guys.